So, how do you prepare mentally to deliver a baby? And, we talked about the flower bloom breath. And,
Mhm.
while I was preparing for my baby and having my midwives and my hypnobirthing class, I talked to my other friends who are like, yeah, I'm just going to show up at the hospital and I'll just do what the doctor says. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
how else can we prepare mentally for birthing our babies?
Yeah, such a good question, Denise. And I think, again, it's not something people think about because birth seems like such this physical event. But as now you've gone through it, it's like some people would say it's probably more of a mental than physical, or at least even.
Mhm.
Um, so it is great to mentally prep. So one of the things I always talk to people about is you want to find something or options so that's going to keep you in the zone. For example, you mentioned you did hypnobirthing, right? And within hypnobirthing there are so many different techniques. For me personally, and for a lot of my clients, what I find works well is listening to meditation or affirmation tracks. There are ones from hypnobirthing, you can find ones on YouTube. I have one in my bump to birth method course. And I would just listen to it going to sleep every night, probably about 20 weeks on. And then when I got into labor, I would turn it on and it brought me right back to that deep state of relaxation. So that's kind of the purpose around that type of mental prep method. And
Right.
it's a very, I would say, a passive way to do it. Like it didn't take a lot of thought in terms of doing it, but it's just that repetitiveness of hearing that particular audio track in that deep state of relaxation. You'll fall asleep. You won't hear the end of them. I don't know if you ever found that too. Like you don't hear the end until
Yeah,
you're
and
in
that's
labor.
why I thought I was doing it wrong. I
Yeah.
every day I would get on the commuter train and I would fall asleep. I'm like, I think I'm doing it wrong. I'm always falling asleep. Am I
Yeah.
supposed to understand what they're saying? Like, and they're like, no, this is exactly
Yeah.
what's supposed to happen.
Totally. It just goes into your subconscious. So I'm glad you brought that up because I've had people bring that up in the course as well. And they're just like, every time I listen to this, I'm falling asleep. Like, is it going to work? I'm like, actually, that's fantastic. So that's one way to mentally prep. If that's not your thing, then also music. So finding different types of music, have soundtracks to it. And I have some clients who will then listen throughout pregnancy. So they make like a labor playlist. I did it as well. In my first birth, I went between my meditation track and music playlist and toggled back and forth. My second, I just listened to the meditation. That's all I wanted. But prep with music. So some people will have a bath in pregnancy and that's their time. They'll put their music on because they're again in that deep state of relaxation. When you're in the bath, you're just kind of you're chilling out. So great time to do that. So when you listen again in labor, it'll take you back there.
Right.
Other people want silence. So for some people, it's like make sure you have earplugs in your bag before you go or wherever you're planning to give birth. You don't know what sounds you're going to hear, especially in a hospital or a birth center. Earplugs are going to block that out. Um, Another thing is the breathing. So we've done the flower bloom breath, something that's going to keep you in the zone that's repetitive. I also talk about this idea of this elongated breathing. So practicing inhaling as long as you can, exhaling as long as you can. And then I'll have clients practice that like for about 2 minutes every night before you go
Right.
to sleep. By the time you get to labor, you will be very surprised how long you can do that. And that really helps because contractions, they look like waves or like a mountain, right? They increase, they peak, and they come down, and that'll vary depending where you are in labor. But you can see how if you practice that inhale as long as you can, exhale, regardless of where you are, if you can tune into that breath, which partners, that is a key thing for them, they might need to remind you, that's going to keep you grounded versus if you start to get into those longer contractions and you don't have anything to mentally keep you in it,
Mhm.
you're going to start to breathe very up here. And it's harder to cope and harder to feel like you're riding the wave of the contraction versus feeling like it's kind of taking over you and you have no control. So those are a few kind of strategies or practices, but also the other side is listening to different types of birth stories. So you're educated on how birth can go, options during birth, what interventions happen. Some people are surprised forceps and vacuum are still used. They definitely are. And there can be a place for them. But knowing, again, questions from there to ask your care provider, like how routinely are certain things done?
Mhm.
Um, so just learning, hearing different stories is going to then open a whole side of things for you to be able to ask questions so you're prepared for all of the situations and options. So I'd say those are a few of the key. There's quite a few ways to mentally prepare, but those are some key ones that I find a lot of people feel are helpful to get started.
Right, right. Can you tell us about your bump to birth course and method that you
Yeah.
have?
Yeah, totally. So I created the Bump to Birth method. It's an online program. You do it from the comfort at your home at your own pace. And really, it's around giving you guidance to have less pain and pelvic floor symptoms in pregnancy, mentally and physically prepare for labor and pushing, including minimizing tearing, also key strategies for your partner to support you during birth, and how to navigate your postpartum recovery. So it really goes through pregnancy, birth, and postpartum recovery. I really felt strongly it needed to include all of those pieces because there's often, with a lot of prenatal courses, it's just birth. And
Mm.
there's so much more to it that you can get value from. So that's what is in the program. And it really guides you step by step. So it's short video and audio lessons, and then also complimentary handouts that go with it. There's also a partner labor prep workshop. So all the lessons that are broken down into smaller pieces for you to watch, and your partner can watch any of them too. But if you kind of want to sit down together and get so much of it that they need to know in one time, it's about a 90-minute workshop, and I'm teaching it to you that you can like pause it and practice things, practice labor positions, practice pushing positions. So it's so many people have gone through it say that was really key for their partners. So they had strategies. They have pictures, everything. So often they'll save that in their phone. So when labor comes and something comes up and the partner's just like, okay, how do I do this again?
Right.
So it really helps both of you feel prepared, but also the key things around, like, so many people, as you know, Denise, go through leaking pee, different types of pain, prolapse symptoms within pregnancy. So I wanted to make sure there were lessons on all the common pelvic floor and pain issues that come up in pregnancy. And then you have a lot of key strategies that I share with clients in kind of a general way that you can then use at home.
Awesome. Thank you. And I'm going to
Yeah.
put the link down to your course. And
Yep.
do you
Great.
also have a freebie? I believe it's
Yes.
your discovering. Can you tell us about that?
Yes. So it's a free guide, and it walks you through in terms of, discovering how to connect with your pelvic floor in pregnancy. So it walks you through that core canister breath, the flower bloom breath, and how to use that within pregnancy. So it's a nice kind of easy, quick way to review some of the stuff we talked about and also have it in written form. So you can definitely grab that as well.
Awesome. So you guys can get that down below. Anita, thank you so much for joining us and answering my questions. And I will have your Instagram, your website, all the details in the description box below for the moms who are watching. Thank you
Awesome.
so
Thank you for
much.
having me, Denise. Yeah.
You're welcome.